Did you see what happened at Columbia?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it was clear to me that the administration at Columbia and most members of the faculty believed passionately in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to hurt Jews. That's what I saw. Isn't that what you saw?
I saw
Isn't that what you saw?
protesters against the war in Gaza and them using some anti-Semitic slogans and thoughts. I would say, however, that it's hard. I would say,
isn't that
however,
what you're telling me?
that it's
That's not what you
difficult
saw.
For
You're
the federal
now don't get
government
off
to
the
invest-
subject
No,
on
I'm
me
not.
now.
I'm
You're telling me
difficult.
that's not what you saw.
I'm telling you that it is difficult for the federal government to adequately address the issue of anti-Semitism.
Are you telling me
without appropriate
the
resources.
Columbia administration and the faculty was supportive of the Jewish community?
Senator John Kennedy refuses to let a witness dodge, deflect, or bureaucratically soft-pedal one of the most disturbing failures in American higher education. In a Senate hearing on anti-Semitism on college campuses, Kennedy confronts a witness who claims defunding the Office for Civil Rights fuels hate crimes, and he is not having it. From the chaos at Columbia University to the radical Marxist ideologies being taught in creative writing classes, this hearing pulls back the curtain on how American universities became breeding grounds for anti-Semitism while waving the banner of diversity, equity, and inclusion. A young Jewish author then delivers testimony so clear, so honest, and so grounded in lived experience that it reframes the entire conversation. Can you feel compassion for the Palestinian people without hating Jews? The answer is yes, but what is being taught on college campuses today makes that nuance nearly impossible. Let's dive into the video.
I can't see that far.
Racklin, you're fine.
Mr. Racklin, I understood you to say that in answer to Senator Durbin's question, the spending reductions, reducing the federal budget would increase anti-Semitism. Isn't that what you said?
No, I did not. I said that the constant threats to cut money to the Office for Civil Rights and the Department of Education prevents the federal government from adequately investigating anti-Semitism and other hate crimes on college campuses.
So you think one way to stop anti-Semitism is to give people more money? Is that
I
right?
think one of the ways is to actually fund people that are actually designed to investigate anti-Semitism on college campuses.
What's there to investigate? We see it.
We see
We
it,
saw
but
it.
just as,
Did you watch television? Did you see what happened at Columbia?
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it was clear to me that the administration at Columbia and most members of the faculty believed passionately in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to hurt Jews. That's what I saw. Isn't that what you saw?
I saw
Isn't that what you saw?
protesters against the war in Gaza and them using some anti-Semitic slogans and thoughts. I would say, however, that it's hard. I would say,
isn't that
however,
what you're telling me?
that it's
That's not what you
difficult
saw.
For
You're
the federal
now don't get
government
off
to
the
invest-
subject
No, I'm
on me
not.
now.
I'm
You're telling me that's
difficult.
not what you saw.
I'm telling you that it is difficult for the federal government to adequately address the issue of anti-Semitism.
Are you telling
without
me
appropriate
the
resources.
Columbia administration and the faculty was supportive of the Jewish community?
I think that they are
You
trying
need to
find
stop dipping into your ketamine stash.
into what? Excuse me?
Now, that if we're going to solve this problem, we need to talk about it.
I'm
And
happy
it
to
wasn't
talk
just
about
at Columbia. It was at Berkeley. It was at UCLA. It was at Barnard. And Columbia has a history of discriminating against Jewish people. They used to refuse to let Jewish students come to their university. Now, you can try to bubble wrap this, but that's what I saw. If you want to stop a lot of the anti-Semitism, maybe we need to stop teaching kids to be anti-Semitic.
Sir, I would relish that opportunity.
Let me ask you a question, Ms. Kohab. Did I say that right?
Kohav.
Do you think it's possible to feel compassion for the Palestinian people without hating Jews?
Absolutely.
Would you elaborate on that? Because it looks to me like many of our Ivy League universities, it's not they weren't the only ones. Some universities handled it well. Vanderbilt, University of Chicago, Tulane. But it looks like the administration was teaching kids you got to pick a side. Mm-hmm. You either have to hate Jews or you have to be for Hamas. You can't be, there's no middle ground. Tell me what you saw. You've written a book about it. Maybe Mr. Rockland ought to read it.
Just because we are testifying, I wrote a chapter in the anthology Young Zionist Voices about what's happening on college campuses, and my book is coming soon, so look out for that.
Good plug, but
so let me answer your question.
Can you feel compassion for the Palestinian people and not hate Jews?
Absolutely. I think that what I've seen on college campuses is a pushing of a Marxist framing of the way that you see the world. And this is not only in liberal studies departments. I've taken dance classes, I've taken creative writing classes, where your final project is literally called The Political is Personal. And what they're teaching you on college campuses is that the political is personal and that everything should be personalized. And there's a global north, a global south, a global right, and a global wrong. And the issue with college campuses and what's happening right now in the United States is that we're allowing ideology to drive violence. A society that says that you can commit violent acts based on your ideology because your ideology is correct is a society that's eroding, and that's what I see on college campuses. Now, you asked if I could feel Palestinian peoplehood, right? If I could feel compassion for the Palestinian people. Absolutely. And every night when I go to bed, yes, I pray for the Jewish people, but I also pray for the Palestinian people, for God to send them leaders that actually care more about their safety. Leaders that put their people's safety in order to propel an ideology at risk aren't leaders. If you look at Hamas, they tout what happened after October 7th up until this day as a victory. How can you lie in rubble after thousands of your people have died and call that a victory? So what I see that has to happen on college campuses is de-radicalization. Until you admit that there's a radical ideology happening on a college campus, you cannot fight it. You cannot fight it.
Senator Ronald.
What Kennedy did in that hearing room was not partisan theater dressed up as concern. It was a United States senator doing exactly what the American people sent him to Washington to do: hold power accountable, protect the vulnerable, and refuse to let comfortable lies survive in a room where uncomfortable truths desperately needed air. When Kennedy pressed Rachlin on what exactly there was to investigate, when the answer was playing out live on every television screen in America, he was voicing the frustration of millions of Jewish families who watched their children being harassed, threatened, and terrorized on campuses that claimed loudly and proudly to stand against hate. The hypocrisy was not subtle, and Kennedy named it without flinching. His framing of the Columbia administration as believing in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to hurt Jews was not a cheap applause line. It was a surgical diagnosis of an institutional failure so profound, so morally catastrophic, that dressing it in polite Senate language would have been its own form of complicity. Kennedy chose clarity over comfort, and the gallery erupted because clarity in that moment felt like oxygen. Critics will call it inflammatory. They always do when someone refuses to soften a truth that powerful institutions would prefer remain soft. But Kennedy wasn't trying to stir things up. He was bringing clarity to the issue. There is a profound difference, and every American watching that exchange instinctively understood it. History will remember this moment not as a political attack, but as one senator standing in the gap between Jewish students who needed protection and a bureaucratic establishment more interested in budgets than in accountability. John Kennedy did not just ask hard questions that day. He demanded that America look at itself honestly and reckon with what it saw. That is not controversy. That is courage. And on that day, courage got a standing ovation.